Yeah? So everybody basically acquires customers through sales prospecting. Okay, good. That means the rest of this is going to be a lot more entertaining for you. Here's the thing about sales prospecting, just by show of hands, okay? Don't be shy. How many of you got up this morning and you thought to yourself, I can't wait to get to the office so I can call some people and prospect for some sales and some customers? Okay, I'm not surprised. And again, that's good because that's going to make the rest of the presentation a lot more entertaining for you. But let's go back for a second to why we think it's so important to get new customers. Would everybody agree that the reason we want new customers every day, the reason it's so important to our business is that new customers means more money, right? That's why we do it. Well, let me for just a moment suggest that that might not actually be the real reason you should be wanting new customers. What I would offer you today is that while money's great and that's fine, the real reason you want to generate new customers every day is because new customers means freedom. You see, if you have a constant new stream of customers, you have the freedom to do lots of things, including deciding which of those customers you might actually want to work with. Now, has anybody in here ever had a customer that maybe they wish they weren't working with? Only one young lady over there like, yeah. But the truth is, it gives you freedom. It gives you freedom to not have to work with every customer that knocks on your door. It gives you freedom to charge more for your services because if they don't want to pay it, there's a bunch more people right in line that might. It gives you freedom to own how you'll deliver your services, what your shipping terms are going to be, what your completion terms are going to be. It gives you an enormous amount of freedom. In my case, it gives me the freedom to decide that I can work anywhere I want in the world. In fact, when I started my company, true story, when I started my company 8 years ago, one of the founding goals was I wanted to build something that I could basically run with a laptop and a phone from anywhere in the world. Before I had a monetary goal, I had a freedom goal. But that's how I got to go get all those new customers. And as we've already established, nobody in here really enjoys that, including me. Because I'm guessing all of you that say you don't really like sales prospecting, how many of you actually think you're good at it? Funny how those two things usually correspond. And the same thing, if you don't really like sales prospecting, you're not really going to devote yourself to getting good at it. Because who wants to get good at something they don't really like to do? But the physical sales prospecting piece, I literally would go home at night and I would be depressed. My colleague can tell you, she can confirm this story. Just last month, we were in Topeka, and I was speaking at a conference. It was me and one other guy. I was the morning keynote, he was the afternoon keynote. We were the talent, we were the show. And that morning, we were sitting in an interior sort of hallway, and the client who had booked me for the gig, Donna and I were here, and there were a couple other people. And two young ladies sort of entered the circle. Now, they only had one reason to enter the circle. They wanted to meet the speaker. And it's funny because I had been telling the client how bad I am at networking, how I'm just not good at it. And he was like, yeah, right. You stand on stage for a living and talk to people. How can you not be good at networking? Like, I'm not good at it. Well, as these two young ladies entered the circle, subconsciously, I didn't even realize I did it, I took 2 steps backwards. And you know what's interesting for you people like me that are kind of shocked? If you do that, the circle will close. Both my client and Donna's natural inclination was to close the gap between them. And they did. And I was kind of in the outer ring. And I didn't meet those 2 young ladies. And my client told Donna at lunch, he was like, oh my God, did you see what he physically removed himself from the opportunity to network for people who all he had to do was say, hi, I'm Tom Martin, I'm the speaker. Thanks for coming today. What's your name? I mean, shit, it doesn't get any easier than that, folks. You're the talent. You're the one they want to meet. And I still can't make it. That's how bad I am at it. So I'm just like you. I hate it. But where I'm not like you is that when I started my company 8 years ago, I decided I was going to do it differently. I said, all right, but what if we reframe how we define the conversation? What if a sales prospecting conversation isn't about selling? What if the goal of the conversation isn't to sell, but instead to help? And when you step back and you reframe the whole sales prospecting conversation, you think about those conversations, again, wherever they occur, differently, it completely changes the dynamic. It changes the goal of the conversation, and it changes how you feel about the conversation. I mean, seriously, is there one person in this audience, if you knew that there was another person in this room today that you could help? Maybe that would be by offering your services. Maybe it'd be because you know something or you know someone that can help them with something. Who amongst you really would not be comfortable with that conversation? I have a young lady who's a client of ours. Do you know the first time I helped her what it was with? A recipe for black beans. Dead serious. Because I had started meeting her, because I had networked her, because of the way we prospected her, which was from a helping perspective, we'd had lots of conversations. And those conversations started to bleed outside of the personal realm because you're in places where that can happen, like social media. And so one day she happened to see on Instagram that I posted a picture of some fish tacos and black beans that I had made. She was having a Cinco de Mayo party. She said, hey, I need black bean. Can you send me your recipe? I said, absolutely. And I sent it to her, and she made them, and they were great, and people loved them, and they loved her for making them. And she called me and said, oh my God, that's the best black beans ever. Thank you so much. I was simply helping. I was having a conversation. I was building a relationship. Well, guess what? After you do that, eventually you get the opportunity to have professional conversations as well, which we have had, and she has now hired us to do multiple things. Anybody here that's in an actual, more of a traditional sales role, you're a salesperson in a sales organization, you can raise your hand. It's not like it's a bad thing. Know anybody like that? You guys are actually both old enough to remember that movie. Greed is good. Greed works. Greed clarifies, organizes. It's a great speech. But that is what sales is. That is what sales has been. We have put sales in this very testosterone-driven culture. It's a competitive, testosterone, we ring bells, we have big dinners. That's sales. And that's what we're told we need to do to be good at sales. And when somebody says, oh, that person's a good salesperson, they tend to look, feel, and talk like that. These are the barriers that hold us back from trying a new methodology, from trying a methodology that will get us the goal we want, the money, the freedom, the constant stream of new clients, but in a way that isn't going to make us actually dread getting out of bed in the morning. You just have to be willing to try something different. And I get it. There's probably a few people in the audience right now are thinking, God, I wish this guy would shut up so I can leave. I can no more do that in the man in the world. I like greed is good. I like the traditional way to do it. I like playing the numbers game. It works. I'm not ready to change, and that's okay. There's no problem. We can all agree to disagree. But for those of you who are thinking, you know what? He's right. I have to do this. I mean, my existence depends on it, but I really don't like it. There's a better way. You can change the way you interface with your sales prospect. You can stop being Gordon Gekko, and you can start being the lovable professor that we all had in high school or college, that his or her goal was simply to help you become smarter, to help you become better, to help you find the knowledge that you seek. And today's buyers are self-educating. They really don't want us to tell them. They want us to help them find the information, the content, so that they can educate themselves, so they can feel like they made a good buying decision as opposed to, this guy sold me something. If you're willing to take that step, if you're going to come down that journey with me, I'm going to give you the opportunity to achieve the goal that you want to achieve, but in a way that's a hell of a lot more fun. So I'm going to finish up by just telling you a couple of things you can do. You're going to need a toolbox. It's going to be a different toolbox than the one that you're using today. First off, you're going to need embassies. And embassies are just what they sound like. They're a place you're going to plant a flag. You're going to show up day in, day out. You're going to be helpful. Parent clubs are great. They're an embassy. They're a place you can show up every single month. For our Parents Club, I do the email marketing. Some of the emails I've sent over the years are now infamous. New parents come in and they're like, oh my God, you're the guy that wrote that? Attendance at the meetings went up. People will literally look for that email. If they don't get the email, they will complain. Please have Tom put my name on the email list. I'm not getting the emails. Think about that. When's the last time you went and actually asked to be put on an email list, even for something you care about? How many times do you think I've been hired by people from the men's club to do email marketing campaigns? A number. And the beauty is they come to me, they're already teed up. I don't even sell, I just close. Replace quantity with quality. Have fewer but better conversations. And if you can take a helpful approach, guess what? That's really super easy to do. At the end of the day, if your goal is to add 10 new customers a month, and you don't care, your company shouldn't care, is that a result of I called 100 people and 10 people said yes? And 90 people told me to kiss off? Or is it the result of I called 20 people and 10 of them said yes? 50% of the people entered into a conversation and converted. Do you really care? The amount of money, the new customer, it's the same. Only the poor person who has to do the 90-10 is going to be miserable. The person who's batting 500, infinitely happier. Let me just warn you, there's going to be a couple of hurdles. If you are in a sales organization or a big company that really values traditional sales prospecting methodologies, it's what they believe in. If Gordon Gekko is your boss, you're going to be facing enormous pressures to revert, to go back to the old way. You just are. Just know it's coming, prepare yourself for it, think through it. How am I going to deal with this? The second thing, and even scarier, is going to be fear. Because this approach is a slower build. It's like a flywheel. It's really hard to get started because you're talking to fewer people, so the whole numbers thing starts to come out of whack. Your lead gen comes out of whack. You don't have as many people coming through the pipeline. But it's like a flywheel. Real hard to start, but then once you get it rolling, it's real simple to keep it moving. And the last thing, and frankly the thing that's going to trip you up, literally, is habit. What I'm asking you to do today, what I'm asking you to do, this new process, redefining sales prospecting as helping versus selling, trying to achieve that goal of a consistent and repeatable influx of new customers every single day and month, this process is different. It's a totally different habit. Science tells us it takes between 60 and 70 days to learn a new habit, on average. I've been doing this for 8 years. And a few minutes ago, I told you a story about last month. I was at a speaking gig, and I couldn't even reach out and say, hello, I'm Tom Martin. And I teach this stuff for a living. Habits are really hard to break. Because here's the thing, folks. It's not that you hate sales prospecting. What you hate is traditional sales prospecting. It's what we all hate because it kind of sucks. It really does. But if you will give yourself permission, if you will try to give yourself a new way of doing sales prospecting, if you'll redefine your sales prospecting as helpful conversations, you will achieve the goal. You will get new customers. They will be coming in repeatedly, reliably. I would argue even more reliably than the traditional way. But you might actually enjoy doing it. So this afternoon, if you really want to give this a little whirl, low risk, find someone else this is what I challenge you to do. Find someone else in the room today. And just make it your goal. You're going to have one helpful conversation. And then when you leave here and go to your car, I want you to stop and think and go, how'd that feel? Give yourself the opportunity. See what you think. Thank you for your time.